Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much. And you may have seen my video where I spoke about the reasons why I decided to homeschool. And one of them is wanting to be intentional about our children's upbringing. And then I thought, maybe I should talk about being intentional in parenting, period. This topic is so near and dear to my heart because of something that I've heard growing up always. I've worried as a kid, and maybe I was a weird kid for worrying about stuff like that. And I hear now as a parent with a different light, and I just get angry. It's one of my biggest triggers. I don't turn into the Hulk, but like my heart hurts for the parents and the kids, depending on who's saying it. And that is the idea that we get good kids or bad kids. So my firstborn was not the best sleeper. This child would nurse around the clock every 2 hours for the first year of his life. And I kept hearing comments like, oh, well, mine started sleeping through the night at 3 weeks. Mine started sleeping through the night at 3 months. I had a good baby. Mine started doing this at that time. I had a good baby. Or other mamas saying, oh my gosh, my second was a horrible baby. Or later on when they started talking, walking, playing, if my kids are both very spirited children who feel their emotions and express it for the world to see. And it became it's because you have boys, girls are so good and girls do this, and they place girls into this box of pristine perfection, and they make no mistakes unless you're a girl, and you know that you very much do. And they place boys into if they are the quiet and like the introverted type, that they're good boys, and that if they are extroverted and energetic, then they're bad kids. Where am I going with all of this, and what does that have to do with intentionality? It's this: when we go into parenting thinking that it is a lottery, that you don't know what you're gonna get, and so you may get a good kid or you may get a bad kid, then you are left up to luck and up to whatever. So if you happen to have a child who has a hard time with transitions, and the way that your parents dealt with you, if you had a hard time with transitions, was by hitting you or punishing you or doing this because you were bad, then you're gonna tend to think that your child is bad. And you're going to react the same way. And that's if you are putting something in the vessel, that's where you're gonna get out of it. And I feel like that kind of mentality where I just get what I get and I have no power over it makes us powerless. It makes us live a life without intention, because I can do nothing to change the child that I have. And where that is true, and you don't know what you're going to get personality-wise, you don't know what you're gonna get, whether they're gonna be kids who like to eat vegetables and be adventurous eaters, or they may be more on the hesitant side. You don't know. What you do control is your intentions towards your children. What kind of adult do I want to raise? Do I want to raise an adult that is short-tempered and just can't deal with change and is mean-spirited and is and can't tolerate other people and their ideas when they're different than them? Or do you want to raise an adult who is kind and patient and loving and empathetic, and that can roll with the punches, and that could just take adversity and blossom into something better, a better version of themselves? You have the power to do either or for your children. And the thing is that you don't know what the tools are that you will need to make your child. I think that every parent listening to this is gonna think of, well, I want the second child. I want the adult child that is patient and kind and all these great things. Well, how do I go about that? And I think that that's where intentionality comes in. You go about that by listening to your child. If you want for your child to grow up to be a patient adult, you need to be the patient adult role model in his life now. And that's starting now, whether you're pregnant and you're about to give birth. That's starting now if you have a fussy baby, whether you're in the middle of raising toddlers and all you feel like you do is scream and clean up and just throw away broken things all day long, or your child is middle-age school or elementary school, or they're high schoolers, or they're adult children. Like, if you haven't been patient thus far, that's fine. You can start today being patient and showing them what patience means. Being intentional to me is putting aside all of the conventional wisdom that goes against your mommy gut. You know, sometimes, for example, I'll give the example of my son, my first son. Well, I did it with both, but it's kind of like you train your family and friends as to how they can relate to your children. And a lot of that was paved by the first one. So by the time the second one came, it's like they kind of knew what to expect, because I didn't know how it was going to be as a mom. So they didn't know how they were going to be as new aunties, uncles, grandpas, grandmas, and friends. So one of those things was that it resonated well with me, with my mommy heart. The books and the literature that said that if you want a secure baby and a secure, adventurous child in this world, you should give them all of the attention that they needed when they needed it. And that translates into, if a baby cries, pick them up. They're crying for a reason. While when I was raised and in my culture, if you picked up a baby every time it cried, you were spoiling them. And I don't believe that babies are milk, so I don't think that they spoil. They're humans, and that's the only way of communicating. They can only cry, whether that's because their big toe itches, or they're hungry, or they got scared, because they're new humans, and everything can be scary because they're overwhelmed, because of whatever it is, they missed you. Whatever it is, their only means of communicating is crying. So pick them up every time they cry. Snuggle them as much as you can, because they're gonna be that little for such a short amount of time. I mean, that is the most recurring advice that my husband and I got the entire time, from the minute we told people we were pregnant until now. Oh my goodness, enjoy them because time flies. And that's like the biggest not kept secret, meaning that everybody tells you, but it's still a secret because you still will wake up 7 years later, blink, and you're like, where did my baby go? You know, like, it's magical the way that happens, no matter how much you're expecting it. So snuggle your baby. How did that translate? When my baby was born, I was in love with him. I only had one child. I was home. So I was constantly just hugging him and carrying him and kissing him, and I didn't want to put him down. I didn't want to share him with the people that came to visit. So my father, I don't know if he remembers this, but every time that he would come over that first week, he would grab him from my arms, and I'd be like, okay, you can hold him for a second. And I would turn around and he would put him like on a little chair, bouncy thing. I mean, Malachi, that's the name of my oldest son, never cried. I mean, he was one of the happiest babies I've ever met. But so he was just fine down. But I'm like, I want to carry him. What's wrong with me carrying him? And he'd tell me, well, no, you're going to spoil him. And I'd be like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going out to work. I'll carry my baby. So I will pick him up and hold him. And so the comments were around me, and the conventional wisdom was that if I did that enough, I was gonna raise a child who was very shy and who was gonna be afraid of other people and who was gonna be hiding behind my skirt this whole time. And he's a boy, so he needs to act like a man, and that's not good, and I'm gonna ruin my child. And if you've met Malachi, he's one of the most adventurous kids ever. He was crawling away from me in playgrounds since he was like 6 months. He was walking and climbing and doing all these things by 9 months, and he didn't need me to introduce him to people. He still doesn't. He'll go up to other adults and say, hi, my name is Malachi. He's not shy. He's not scared of the world. So that tells me that the advice that I read in what my heart was telling me was the right thing to do to raise a very confident child was the right path for me to take. And so I took it. Had I not been looking for ways to raise my child in a way that resonated with me, I would have just gone with conventional wisdom and done what has been done for ages. That's how I was raised. And I was an extremely shy kid. So I knew that there was a discrepancy between what was thought to be the way and what raising a child what the end result will be. And basically what I've come to see, another thing that I see intentional parenting like is you have a unique child. Each one of your children will be special and unique in their own way. And so there are tons of techniques out there, and there's lots of advice, very much like the ones that I will give you in this video. So your job is not to fit your child into a school of thought. It's not for you to make him or her fit into this round peg if they are square shaped. Your job is to take from every single school of thought, from every parenting book you read, from everything, and analyze it within you. Take that gut, that mommy heart that you have that makes you feel like, I don't feel comfortable with that, or I may not like that, and lean into it. Because if you haven't heard of something and you're feeling like it's the wrong thing, but everyone around you says it's right, don't ignore your heart. That's where God talks to you. At the end of the day, God made you the parent of that precious child, and He will guide you through how to raise him or her. And if it's information that you've never heard before, He will help you come across a blog, come across a video, come across a book, a talk that would enlighten you in a different way of doing it, because He knows your child. He created your child inside your womb. And so He knows what are the things that are gonna break this child or make him into that person that He created him or her to be. So why not go with that? Educate yourself. For you to be an intentional parent, I have one advice for you, and that is see your child as the individual that he or she is, and see yourself as the individual parent that you are. And read a lot, research a lot. Take the good and leave the bad. Take the things that make your heart smile and make you want to get up in the morning and try that technique or try that version of things, instead of just sitting there and feeling guilty about yourself and feeling like you're going against your heart, because that's where God will speak to you. If you like this video, or if you think that any mama out there, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, my sister needs to hear this, or that will really help so-and-so, please share with them. That's the purpose. I want you to feel empowered in your parenting journey. I want you to feel good about it and to learn to love it to pieces, because you deserve that and your kiddos deserve that. Cut yourself grace, love yourself, love on your babies, love parenting, and like this video. So subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and you'll be getting more content about parenting, loving parenting, homeschooling, and the mommy life. So see you in our next video. Bye.